Hi, I'm Ethan.
And I'm Xavier.
This is Illicit Einstein. A thing.
Yep, that exists.
Yeah, we're gonna watch another Anita thing because we hate ourselves.
Yep, we sure do. And this one is kind of my territory, and it's good old games.
This is called Ms.Male Character, Tropes versus Women in Video Games. Her new series back when she was making this a new series. And
Also,
it's shit.
25 minutes. It's 25 minutes.
Oh god, it's 25 minutes, and we're gonna make it longer because we'll continue pausing.
Alright, let's go.
Is it weird that I'm kind of sexually aroused?
Yes, we're going to ignore that. Oh my.
Fun.
In this episode, we're going to shift the discussion away from plot devices to focus on a pattern in character design and conceptualization, which I've decided to call the Ms.Male character.
You decided
As
to call
always,
it.
it's important
You
to
had
keep in
to.
mind that it's entirely possible to be critical of some aspects of a piece of media
your own
while still finding other parts valuable or enjoyable. Let's begin our examination of this trope by traveling back in time to 1980 and the creation of one of the most famous characters in the history of gaming. Initially called
clearly
Pac-Man in
says
Japan,
Puckman.
the name was later changed to Pac-Man when the game hit arcades in the United States.
Because we hate Puckman.
Incidentally, Toru Iwatani,
Or
the
maybe
creator
it sounds too much like
has
fuck
stated
you.
in numerous interviews that the game was designed to appeal to women because, and I'm not kidding about this, he said, "When you think about things women like, you think about fashion, or fortune-telling, or food, or dating boyfriends. So I decided to theme the game around eating. After eating dinner, women like to have dessert."
I'd say it's more accurate that you're eating a ton of balls.
About women are not reflected in the finished game itself. Pac-Man went on to become an international sensation and remains one of the most recognizable pop culture icons today.
Wait, are you going to
probably
make
not
Pac-Man
because women are genetically
sexist?
predisposed to like eating desserts more than humans of other genders.
Hi, I'm Lily Tomlin.
Other genders.
I'm a Pac-Man freak. It's all right.
Of course.
I can talk about it now. Of course, there was a time
Oh,
when
Jesus.
I couldn't.
The next year, a group of MIT students created a mod for the
discriminating
original Pac-Man arcade cabinets called Crazy Otto, which featured 4 new mazes
I've never
and
heard
a
of
new
this.
male hero with little legs. The idea was to sell this enhancement kit
adorable.
to arcade owners so they could breathe new life into older Pac-Man machines. But
What?
because of a separate
It's
lawsuit
a sprite
settlement
sheet.
with Atari, they decided to try and sell Crazy
That's not
Otto
a
directly
mod.
to Midway, the U.S. manufacturer of Pac-Man cabinets. As luck would have it, Midway was anxious for a follow-up to Pac-Man and worked to transform the mod into an official sequel. In an effort to continue appealing to female gamers, Crazy Otto was briefly changed to Pac-Woman, then to Miss Pac-Man, before finally becoming Ms. Pac-Man. An 11th-hour move designed to avoid potential backlash for the third cutscene, which features a child born out of wedlock. The game hit arcades in the United States in 1982 and was an immediate smash hit, becoming the most successful American-made, coin-operated arcade cabinet ever produced. Like her predecessor, Ms. Pac-Man quickly achieved widespread cultural prominence, and it wasn't long before she was turned into a special marshmallow and added to Pac-Man's cereal.
Who cares? I think she really just wants to put a bunch of commercials up. This entire video is padded out by commercials from the 80s.
One of the first playable female characters, but she also holds the distinction of being the original Ms.Male character in video games. I describe the Ms.Male character trope as a female version of an already established trope as
I'd like to point out that back then, I don't know if you know this, Anita, but it was a little bit difficult to progress your character when you don't have any freaking words.
Or dialogue, and instead
or any more sprites than, like, one sheet. You're kind of putting the bar a bit too high for back then.
Also, by looking at her definition of a Ms.Male character, it appears that by their relationship to their male counterparts, well, this is basically Miss Pac-Man. You can't... I don't understand why she's getting so offended by this, because Miss Pac-Man was basically... Yeah, she's defined by her by being, related to Pac-Man.
I don't really know via their visual properties. She's a freaking circle.
With a bow. This is ridiculous.
She's a circle with a
Uh,
cutout triangle.
Triangle.
I think
And
you're reading a bit too into this, Anita.
yeah, really, come on.
The female version of an already established or default male character. Ms.Male characters are defined primarily by their relationship to their male counterparts, via their visual properties, their narrative connection, or occasionally through promotional materials. This trope is, of course, part of a long tradition in visual storytelling.
Are you saying
The
Minnie
process
Mouse
of
is
creating Ms.Male
sexist?
characters out of
Yep.
pre-existing male heroes has been especially popular in animation and comic books over the past century. When the female spin-off is an exact duplicate, she is sometimes referred to as a distaff counterpart. Even though the Ms.Male
She's
character did not originate with
inside.
video games, developers have made generous and frequent use of the trope over the years, especially in games marketed towards young people and general audiences.
Yeah.
Mr. Arcade.
And Miss Arcade.
Miss Arcade.
Wow. Don't die for Miss Pac-Man.
Into the tunnel.
That couple's in love.
Yeah, with Miss Pac-Man.
Let's explore this trope in a little more depth by asking
Wow.
a simple question. How do we know what gender a particular character is?
Because she has
Other
a
than their
freaking
names, how do we know
bow.
that the collection of pixels on the right signal male?
Because she has a freaking bow and is wearing lipstick. And also, on the machine, it says Miss freaking Pac-Man. How is this difficult for you? Do you like are you yelling at us for having the human ability to distinguish genders based on qualities which are primarily associated with specific genders? Do you have comment, Xavier? Or did you drop from the call?
No, I just had to have a conversation.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Those
sorry,
on the right
everybody.
signal male, while those on the left indicate female. Well, in order to
okay.
differentiate Ms. Pac-Man from her already world-famous
You have to look at this as in it's from, this is, their sprites, the distinction between their sprites was literally, we have to make this look like a female, so they put a bow on it. They
Yeah.
couldn't do anything else. These were back on arcade cabinets, okay? Arcade cabinets which had very, very, very minimal.
Have you
amount of
ever
space.
seen an arcade cabinet? I have a
Like,
feeling she hasn't actually played either game.
Like, there's almost no memory on those things. I mean, they barely had enough memory to fit one board. They had a board. That's all they had room for, was a single screen.
So basically, what I'm saying is try and get an LED board, and basically what you should try and do is paint Mona Lisa.
Yes.
Get like a 4x4 LED board and paint Mona Lisa. Go ahead.
It's just do it. It's just ridiculous.
Her already world-famous counterpart, her creators added a series of stereotypical design elements. With only a few pixels to work with, designers built on top of the original Pac-Man template.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Yes, because that's all they could do. They barely had enough memory.
On
Limitations.
top of the original Pac-Man template,
These are all
adding
limitations.
a red bow, red lipstick, an eye with makeup, long lashes, and a mole as beauty mark. Even though Ms. Pac-Man is essentially a personified shape, in promotional materials
Yes,
she's presented in
exactly,
high heels with long legs, jewelry, and sometimes a feather boa.
Have you ever
The design elements that were used to transform Pac-Man into Ms.
like,
Pac-Man
the
are referred
80s?
to as feminizing
Yeah,
gender
really.
signifiers. The bow, the makeup, the long eyelashes are all specific stylistic choices. They're all part of our culture's visual vocabulary, intended to convey information about gender to the viewer.
But how is that
Game
a bad
designers
thing?
use these stereotypical
Yeah.
attributes as a sort of shorthand to quickly identify a given character as female. Childlike hair decorations are by
You still haven't explained how that is a negative thing. Like, we as a species couldn't live without words. So, should we get rid of words because some of them are bad? Like,
Also, looking at this, you have to understand that these are because of limitations in the hardware and the software of these systems. This is all they had the room for. Like, they couldn't add anything else. into these arcade machines. Again, they were pretty much packed to the brim with just one screen. You know?
Jesus. Like, but I feel like she's just saying that these like characterization like pieces are a negative thing of humanity and how we shouldn't do that. But I see it the other way. I see it as we have a way of identifying characters easily, and we should take advantage of that, especially if we're in a situation where we have limited resources to portray our characters.
Again, this is very limited resources.
Childlike hair decorations are by far the most frequent accessory used for this purpose. It's standard practice for creators to just put a bow on top of anthropomorphized animals or personified objects in order to communicate that a character is not male. The Bubble Bobble series stars heroes Bub and Bob, who are charged with rescuing their female counterparts and respective love interests Peb and Pab. Lala is a feminized version of the male hero Lolo in the Adventures of Lolo series.
You're naming
Mimi
all
fills this
the
role as the
children.
main protagonist's girlfriend in the Super Monkey Ball games.
She looks pretty female. She's
In
got a
Disney's
silver-
popular Where's My Water mobile games, we know that Allie is female because she's the only alligator who wears a bow.
You can't hit our mobile games.
Yeah. Also, this
The
is
Adult Swim
by-
game Giant
Oh,
Boulder
are
of
you
Death
freaking
takes the joke
kidding
to
me?
ridiculous extremes by gendering a pink boulder with a giant pink bow before she's stuffed in the refrigerator.
Are you freaking kidding me?
You're taking something done by Adult Swim seriously.
Don't. Just don't.
Just don't. It's Adult Swim. Have you never seen Adult Swim?
She's stuffed in the refrigerator
Oh my
to motivate
gosh.
the blue boulder to seek revenge.
I think she just wanted
Now,
to
the
put in
interesting
footage
thing
of
is that
that.
these gender signifiers are really quite arbitrary and abstract.
I'd like to point
There's
out that
nothing
you
about a
only
bow
kill men
in
in
and of
that game.
itself that's intrinsically or essentially feminine. It's just a piece of colored fabric, after all. But our society currently assigns a very specific, socially constructed, and strictly enforced meaning to that piece of fabric. It's a symbol that conveys the concept of female and invokes the idea
No.
of girlhood.
It-
The indie game Rogue Legacy has an interesting system whereby you can be randomly assigned the choice of either male or female heirs to play on each run.
Yeah.
The characters are essentially identical, both mechanically and aesthetically, except for a very minor difference in their breastplate
How
styles.
the hell?
So far, so good. But all the female heirs also have a strangely conspicuous and completely unnecessary lavender-colored bow on top of their arm.
How the hell did you notice
This is a
that?
classic example of put a bow on it.
Yeah.
I played that game for hours and have never seen that. And it's not really unnecessary because I don't know about you, but I can't really tell from the breastplate, like, oh, they've got a different breastplate. They must be a specific
Girl.
gender.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just really you're freaking out because yes, we put bows on things, but but that's an indie game. They're working with very limited resources. And I mean, honestly, would you much rather have it be like a super scantily clad character?
Yeah, just like maybe they should just not wear armor. They should just wear
a metal
no.
kini?
metal kini. Yes.
Just the really.
The color coding of characters is another frequently used visual element to signify gender. Typically, the dominant color used in the design of the female variant is bright pink, although sometimes a purple or pastel palette may be used. In the 1985 NES classic Ice Climber, player 1 controls Papa,
Why do you
who
keep
wears a
going
blue
back to
parka.
retro
If you have a second
games?
player, they can
Yeah.
control Nana,
Not
who wears
only
a
were
peach
they
parka.
actually sexist back then, these aren't
Amy
sexist
Rose
things.
was designed to be a pink female version of Sonic, especially in her early incarnations. Command Girl Video is the female version of Commander Video in the Bit Trip Runner indie game series. Her dominant color is purple, she sports a giant bow on her head, and in Runner 2, she is suddenly and conspicuously busty. The most
Oh
commonly
no.
used gender
Oh dear.
signifiers, or feminizing accessories, are bows, lipstick, long eyelashes, and the color pink. But there are a whole host of other design elements that, in combination, serve the same purpose.
Oh no.
Other
please.
signifiers used to
Yeah.
differentiate women from men are pigtails, high-heeled shoes, painted nails, pronounced makeup, especially blush and eyeshadow, midriff-bearing outfits, exaggerated breasts with exposed cleavage, and a heart motif in their design or
Not
colors.
boobs.
Pretty Bomber is the protagonist's
How
adversary
dare
and
women
sometimes
show
love
their
interest in the
boobs.
Bomberman series. And just to make absolutely clear, there is no confusion about her gender. She's decked out in pink, has a giant heart attached to her head,
So
and
is
also does
Bomberman.
bombs.
Yeah.
Bomberman has pink too.
Gendered signifiers are not mandatory for the Ms.Male character trope to be in effect, but these types of stereotypical attributes do serve to mark female characters as decidedly different by virtue of their feminine presentation.
I don't know
Now,
if you
just
know
to be
this,
clear,
but women
there's
are
no
kind
inherent
of
problem
different.
with the color pink,
Yeah.
makeup, bows, or high heels as design elements on their own.
You just
And of course,
defeated
people of
9
all
minutes of
genders
your
may choose to
video's
wear any of
purpose.
them from time to time in the
Yeah.
real world, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that either. However, when designers choose to use the Ms.Male character trope and its associated visual stereotypes to specifically distinguish female characters from the rest of the cast in a fictional context, it has...
Okay, I just need to get something out there. I have some bad news for you, Anita. Game developers are lazy. They're kind of lazy when it comes to sprites, because
Also,
when I'm creating like I don't know, a freaking female variant, like these aren't story-driven games. None of the things you're listing are super story-driven games. So
yeah.
you're not gonna be like experiencing a different way of identifying the gender of that character, but generally love interests before gay marriage was like a thing were more, I don't know, female to male. So, if anything, this is an LGBT issue,
Yeah.
which is a stretch. So, I feel like you're just being a little judgmental of some very, very lazy developers.
Yeah, like you have to learn that game developers are very, very lazy.
I
They
know, I am
cut
one.
corners all the time. They basically like
Square
again,
Enix.
most also most of that. I mean, you pointed out a mobile game for Christ's sakes, a mobile game by Disney. Come on, it's Disney. First off, Disney is one of the best examples of just basically slapping a bow on every female character because they're too lazy to do anything else. Also, you're talking about a mobile game. Come on. You shouldn't be surprised. It's a mobile game.
Stop freaking nitpicking.
It has a few negative consequences. One repercussion of constantly relying on feminizing signifiers for character design is that it tends to reinforce a strict binary form of gender expression.
No,
The gender binary is an entirely
just because some
artificial
people
and socially
happen to be
constructed
one
division
or
of
the
male
other
and
gender
female
doesn't
into two
mean that
distinctly
they're like,
separate and
you
opposing
can't be
classes of
either.
human
You
beings.
can't be both.
The gender binary
Can't be
also
none.
erases the continuum
Yeah.
of gender presentations and identities that fall outside of the rigid masculine-feminine false dichotomy. And within that
Oh
strict
God,
binary,
stop
women
saying
are
that.
marked, while men get to remain largely unmarked.
Yeah, they're lazier with men. They put work into women.
In the Mario franchise, the Koopalings were originally described as Bowser's 7
Oh,
children.
Christ.
All of them are male except for one named Wendy O. Koopa. We know she's female because her designers use practically every hyper-feminine frill and accessory available to separate her from her male siblings.
Oh my God.
Wendy's 6 brothers, by contrast, are unmarked by gendered identifiers, which means they get to be presented in a variety of
They're
creative
turtles.
ways. Ludwig's design communicates intelligence and arrogance, while Lemmy's reveals his playfulness, and Iggy's makes him seem maniacal and a little unbalanced. Sadly, Wendy's identity is
You missed
limited
the
by
one
the
that
fact
was
that
super
she's
masculine
covered in
and,
superficial gender signifiers.
Oh yeah, no,
One
that's
look at her and
Bowser.
you know she's female, but not much else.
She likes to ice skate.
As with many Ms.Male characters, her defining characteristic is her gender.
Nope, it's her ice skating.
Wendy also suffers from a parallel condition I like to call personality female syndrome, wherein female characters are reduced to
is
a
that a
one-dimensional
medical term?
personality type consisting of nothing more than a collection of...
Is that a medical term?
You're talking about a Mario game. Only that minor characters on a Mario game. I mean, come on, really, let's think about this here. Mario, basically, the story every time is your princess has been captured, go rescue her. So
Not a
I
story-based game.
And not only that, but they have, I mean, yeah, occasionally they do, don't use that formula, but not only that, but they have very little dialogue.
It's a me!
That's the entire dialogue of the entire game.
You know he's a man because he has a high-pitched voice.
And a mustache. Yeah. Yes, the other 6 were conveyed, I
Italian.
guess, differently.
Yeah, Mario's entire characterization is Italian. He's an Italian.
Yeah, that's
Like,
his entire characterization.
So, if you're gonna nitpick, then Mario's racist.
Yep.
Mario is a racist stereotype.
Also, they did this because she is the one female character, and she's a turtle.
Yes.
It's hard to tell turtles apart.
And Bowser is pretty much her counterpart, because he's gigantic and masculine and really strong. He is the father turtle. He's the father figure, so he's pretty much the freaking bulky.
More than a collection of shallow stereotypes about women. She's vain, spoiled, bratty, and quick to anger.
I don't care! I want America for my birthday! I want it!
Have you ever spoken to a female child?
When female characters are marked by obligatory stereotypical
They are
identifiers,
horrible.
it actively limits the range of available options by enforcing a narrow, restrictive, and monolithic model for the portrayal of femininity. Meanwhile, since male characters are allowed to be unmarked, it permits a much wider array of possibilities for their designs. I should note that even though pink and purple are strong gendered indicators when combined with other feminizing visual markers, those colors are not the exclusive domain of women. An expanded color palette is something we do see applied to men on rare occasions, as with Kirby, Bomberman, or Roy Koopa. But they are the exception to the
You
rule,
used Bomberman as an example earlier.
Like an extremely male-dominated world.
And you used Mario as an example earlier too.
I just don't know.
But if a bow, lipstick, eyeshadow, or heels are placed on an otherwise male-identified character, the intention, or at least the result, is typically a homophobic or transphobic joke.
Hey, yo!
That's because
there are a few optional design
gay
accessories for men,
people
like
and
neckties or baseball caps, but
trans
they don't
people
hold the
just
same
weren't a thing
significance.
back then.
They're not ubiquitous or strictly enforced, and they're never really used to mark men as not female in larger fictional universes dominated by women.
I'd like to point out that if you go to any
Maxwell
new
is the
game,
hero of the popular
that
Scribblenauts
isn't
series.
a thing.
In the fourth game, Scribblenauts
Any game
Unlimited,
with,
we're
like,
introduced to his twin sister Lily, who's
modern
basically
graphics.
a feminized copy of Maxwell.
Oh
The
my
two are
God.
identical except for a series of gendered signifiers designed to mark her as female. In the game, we learn that Lily is one of 42 children. All 41 of the other siblings are male, and all have some trait or interest associated with their name that serves to define their personality.
Have you ever drawn
There's
a sprite?
Art the artist,
Yeah,
Buzz the astronaut, Glum the emo rocker, and so on and so forth.
To use
And
the
all are
word
unlockable
emo,
and
I am
playable
super
during the
triggered.
course of the game.
Yep.
By contrast, Lily's personality trait is essentially being Maxwell's twin. She has no associated interest or hobby other than being the female version of the game's hero.
Maxwell doesn't
In
have
addition
any
to being
hobby
the mid-male
either.
character,
Yeah.
Lily is also a particularly pronounced example of another related trope called the Smurfette principle. The term was coined back in 1991 by feminist author Katha Pollitt, and is
Oh, you didn't
unfortunately
make that
after
one.
the only female Smurf in Smurfville. The Smurfette
That's 'cause
principle
they
is the
don't
tendency
exist.
for a piece
She
of media
was
to
made.
include only one woman in an ensemble of male characters.
All the
trope is a
Smurfs look
pervasive
alike.
problem in video games, manifesting as the token chick in any given grouping of
Oh,
heroes,
oh,
villains, or
are you-
non-playable characters.
We-
An exceptionally
Did you
stark
just use
example of
Left
the trope
4
can be
Dead
found in
2
the
as an example for, like, feminizing women? Rochelle is the, like, least...
Feminized person ever.
Rochelle is the most independent woman in any video game ever. Unless she's played by Xavier, in which case he'll fall over and not be able to get up.
Well, that's because I'm not good at the Left 4 Dead games, okay?
But, no, Rochelle is not the token anything.
Yeah.
Just because there's no other women in the thing doesn't mean she's the token woman. No one have you ever played a Left 4 Dead online match? No one's like, oh, Rochelle's a girl, so we're gonna carry her, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know, that just doesn't happen.
It just doesn't. None of that, but the Smurfette syndrome thing. I mean, really?
I'd like to point out the lore of Smurfette. Smurfette
Yeah.
is there because the Smurfs produce asexually, I guess, and they just don't have women. And Gilga, whatever, Gilgamesh, decided that to get the Smurfs or whatever he's trying to do, he would make a female because all males are attracted to females, and especially if they've never seen one in their life. Um, and so he sent her there, and she's not like discriminated against. I mean, yes, her character trait is being a good girl, but it's not actually. Her character traits are very diverse. She is rebellious. She doesn't. She used to work for Gilgamesh, but now she doesn't. And like, she's not just a woman in that show. So that entire like
spiel is just
spiel
shot.
is just completely pointless.
In the original Mega Man series. Over the course of 10 games, there are 78 bosses or robot masters, and exactly one of them is female, Flash Woman, who appears in the 9th game.
I don't notice any pink on her, or a bow,
In the Wii U
or
game The Wonderful
freaking
101,
anything.
6 of the 7 color-coded playable heroes are men.
Also,
the one exception is, of course, the pink hero named...
I'm I'm not gonna say that, because I'm pretty sure Jennifer Lawrence filed for a restraining order.
I would like to point out that the reason why the Mega Man boss was not over feminized is because your goal is to shoot her in the face.
Yeah, we don't like shooting women in the face.
It's not something we enjoy.
Yeah, I'd like it just we love to shoot men.
We love shooting each other in the face, but not women.
We love shooting men. Women love shooting men. So I really don't see. I feel like you're just going against consumer here.
Yeah. Also, this is just ridiculous.
Is, of course, the pink hero named Wonder Pink. In addition to her Smurfette status, she's also afflicted with personality female syndrome.
I got in late last night, but there was this party, and then the after party, and then the after party. I needed a major powder break to freshen up before meeting you guys.
She's also got a
Wonder Pink is shallow, vain, materialistic,
she's got a
flies into a rage at the drop of a hat.
You know, she's got an accent.
You can find...
Again, she's supposed to be characterizing a child, like a female child. And Anita obviously didn't have a little sister, because if she had, she would know that little sisters and little girls in general, if they're not cute, they're being horrible.
Yeah, and if they are being cute, then they're also being horrible.
You can find Smurfettes in just about every genre, from dungeon crawlers to racing games, from RPGs to shooters. Palettes and...
Whoa. Did she just quote Call of Duty there?
I think she did.
Don't ever reference Call of
the
Duty.
Smurfette problem nicely in her New York Times article. The message is clear. Boys are the norm, girls the variation. Boys are central, girls peripheral. Boys are individuals, girls types. Boys define the group, its story, and its code of values.
Alright. I have a challenge for you, Anita. So, basically, you need to make a game, but you can't identify the girl by any of, like, the girl tropes. Like, she can't be pink, she can't have a bow,
she can't have pigtails,
she can't have a voice, but here's the thing, you have to make it retro style, so there's no story, and there's no way of, like, identifying her in any other way.
The Metro series.
So, just... Yeah, Metro, actually. Or... Metroid.
Metroid, whatever. Sorry.
That's an example.
You
can play Metroid forever, but until you get to a point where it's, like, explicitly saying that, Metroid is a girl, you're not going to notice. Because they had no way of conveying that to you.
Also, it's not really going to matter. I mean, even then, except for the most recent Metroid Prime game, the rest of them really have been like her being a girl isn't really the main focus. It's just like oh, she's a girl.
Is Metroid what you want in a game? I'm really
Yeah.
getting mixed signals from you here, Anita.
Like Metroid is essentially this like girl. She's a bounty hunter. She takes, she doesn't take crap from nobody, and she just goes around bounty hunting. Except in the new game, which we're not going to talk about, the most recent one.
I haven't
And its
played
code of
it.
values.
I have not
Girls
either.
exist only in relation to boys. With that in mind, let's come back to Ms. Pac-Man
This
for a
isn't
moment.
like a
One
developer
of the core
issue.
consequences
It's not
of the
even a
Ms.Male
style
character trope
issue.
is that
It's
it helps
just
to
not
define
even
women
an
by their
issue.
connection to men.
I know.
So despite her tagline, more than Pac-Man with a bow,
You showed that in the intro.
Ms. Pac-Man's visual properties are simply an extension of Pac-Man's original design.
You've already
Metroid
established
is
this.
just Pac-Man with a bow.
You've
The
already
simple narrative
established
reinforces
this.
the fact that she really only exists in relationship to
It's
Pac-Man.
a
She's both
texture
his love interest
detail
and also the mother of his
problem.
child.
Oh no, she's the mother of his child. How dare she?
Dixie Kong is the female variant and love interest of Diddy Kong. Note the ponytail and hair ringlets, pink shirt, pink hat, earrings, and eyelashes, all to distinguish her from her predecessor. Essentially, Ms.Male characters are feminized imitations or derivative copies of already established male characters. They exist only because of and in relationship to their male counterparts. Ms.Male characters typically
That's
aren't given their
because
own distinctive identities and are
easier
prevented
to
from
make,
being fully realized characters who
default
exist on their own terms. This has the perhaps unintended effect of devaluing these characters and often relegating them to subordinate or secondary status inside their respective media franchises, even when they are on rare occasion given a starring role in a spin-off or sequel. One very old and notable example
Jesus
of the
Christ,
Ms.Male
she's
character
going
trope
biblical.
comes to mind.
Oh,
As the story goes, God made Adam in his own image and then later took a rib from Adam's side and fashioned a woman out of it to be his wife and companion. This Adam and Eve version of the creation myth reinforces a subordinate view of women.
Whoa, 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 whoa. When did we go from video games
to the
religion?
Bible. Oh God.
Alright, let me put my stance on the Bible right down. I do not believe a page of it.
I'm also with Ethan here.
But, like, I feel like your critique of the Bible, yes, it is sexist.
It isn't critically sexist.
It's sexist, but this is not the most sexist of them, of the bits. Like, yes, this part is super sexist.
Yeah.
But, like, the fact that she is the one who gets him thrown out, I feel like he's also portrayed as a very, like, stereotypical male character. He is stupid. He is easily manipulated by the woman. This isn't like an issue. It is an issue. The Bible is very misogynist and such, but like, this is not the main problem with the Bible.
And I mean, again, she really, like a lot of these things that she's saying where it's just like, oh, it's a character and it's just basically designed as a female counterpart. Well, that's because they were designed afterwards. They weren't designed intently. And the game designers, you have to remember, game designers are lazy. Game designers do the bare minimum.
Have you ever played Lara Croft, Anita?
Yes.
Lara Croft was created,
specifically as a woman. And you can see when they specifically go and create a female character beforehand. When they create it afterhand, such as in a lot of the examples that she's giving right now, like Ms. Pac-Man and the other ones like that, they're designed afterwards. They're designed as an afterthought, and they're basically just done quickly. So that's why they just slap a bow on them and say, go, you're good.
Now, Lara Croft is Lara Croft, she does have a male counterpart. His name is Indiana Jones.
Yep.
But, like, she's not probably based off him. She's just... Lara Croft is her own character, and she is identified by only one of the things you've listed, which is her
and really, and you can't say, well, they were being sexist when they made the ones where they were sticking out really far. It's because a lot of those were graphical issues that they had. None of them were on purpose. Uh, and I would again just like to say that she's quoting the Bible.
I think that the Bible must have had some I don't know system. The Bible probably had some limitations.
Yeah, a little bit.
Also, I'd like to point out that the Bible is written by farmers and people who were not very
Intelligent.
So
Yeah.
literally, the things they did with their wives were probably worse than what Adam and Eve are
Yeah.
portraying.
Yeah.
Man is cast as the original concept and source code for woman, who is derived from his body.
Source code.
Essentially, Eve
She
is
used
the
that
sequel
as
to
if she
Adam,
knew what it
just
was.
as Ms. Pac-Man was built from the body of Pac-Man who came before her. In a male-identified society like
Wow.
ours, men are associated and
Bible
become
that.
synonymous with human beings in general. In other words, male tends to be seen as the default for the entire species. In video games, male identification manifests as
Actually, women are the default.
Yeah.
Scientifically, women are the
Yeah.
default for the species.
Which is why
That's
we
why.
have nipples.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to explain the direct connection between a penis and clitoris, but that's a discussion for another day.
You
So
pronounce
let's
it
just
clitoris.
whatever. Just keep going. We can argue about this later.
We can argue about it now.
I pronounce it.
tendency for all
Don't judge.
characters to be male by default, unless there's some special reason or specific justification for women to be present in the story. To help illustrate one of the ways the male as default phenomenon operates in gaming worlds, let's take a look at the mobile mega hit.
More mobiles.
Yeah, really. Don't quote mobile games. Mobile developers are even lazier than actual game developers, because mobile games aren't games. They're not. These people are even lazier.
Mega hit Angry Birds.
I will not defend mobile games.
When the game was
I
first
will not
released in
either.
2009,
Even if
the
you're
5
wrong.
original birds in the flock were identified by their color and did not include any specific gendered signifiers. Over
Are you
time,
saying this
as the
is
game has
super...
grown in popularity and the brand has expanded to include numerous spin-offs, real-world merchandise, and a weekly cartoon series, the birds have been given more distinct personalities and actual names. Mobile developer Rovio first began gendering birds in February 2011 with the release of their Valentine's-themed episode for Angry Birds Seasons.
Yeah,
Which includes
they kind of
male
needed a
character
girl
versions
character.
of the red bird, the white bird, and a female pig as love
I
interests.
don't know about you,
Note the
but
bows, makeup,
back
and
when
long
gay
eyelashes.
wasn't socially acceptable.
There's a larger unintended
Yeah.
consequence
It
to
was
marking
kind of
these birds as
difficult.
female with feminizing gendered signifiers. It reinforces that all the other birds and pigs without these specific visual cues are all male by default unless otherwise noted. The addition of the pink bird to the main flock in 2012 further entrenched male as the default setting for the Angry Birds universe. I should mention that Rovio later stated that the white bird was also female and named her Matilda. This revelation led to a character redesign which has feminized the white bird by adding pink accents, rose cheeks, and long eyelashes in the Angry Birds cartoon series, just to make absolutely clear that she is female. Over in the Mushroom Kingdom, we have Toadette, who is both a Ms.Male character and the only woman among the mushroom people.
I'd like to mention that there are many variety of toads.
I would also like to point out that toads produce asexually, so just gonna continue that.
They're not really gendered.
Yeah.
Her introduction to the Mario spin-off games emphasizes the fact that all the other toads in the entire species are male.
Or maybe you're just
Both
making
the
that
Smirnoff
assumption
principle
because you're
and the Ms.Male
sexist.
character tropes
Yep.
create scenarios that reinforce a false dichotomy, wherein male
False
is associated with the norm, while
Said
female
that again.
is associated with a deviation from the norm. Everything we've discussed in this episode thus far has been related to visual design or narrative connection.
And
But
horribly
there's another
boring.
way that the Ms.Male
Yeah.
character trope can manifest itself, and that is through marketing and promotional materials.
Jesus.
A great
boy.
illustration of this trend can be found in BioWare's
Oh, no.
highly regarded Mass Effect
Oh,
series.
how dare!
Hey, I
Games
just bought
offer
that
players
game.
a choice between a male or female version of the protagonist, Commander Shepard,
Yeah.
each with a range of cosmetic, customizable options.
Yep.
The female option is well designed, and her overall narrative is nearly indistinguishable from her male counterparts, aside from some of the romance options.
Okay.
However, if we
Well, they
take a
had
step back
romance
from
here.
the game experience itself and look at the marketing campaigns for the trilogy, we see that the female variant of Shepard is practically non-existent. In mainstream advertising of
Do
the
you want them to release both? Do you really just want them to release two variants of the same video?
Also, I would like to point out that most people who play video games are men.
Not
And
anymore necessarily.
Yeah,
But
not anymore. But back then, because this is back in like when was the first Mass Effect game released? I want to say 2008.
I don't know.
I'm going to say 2008, 2009, 2010, around then. Second one was released 2011, 2012. Third one 2013, I think.
Mhm.
And this was when the majority of gamers were men. This is right before the thing where like women were really like that, and like where they were like, we are gamers now.
That's
But-
exactly how it happened. They just got
Yes.
together and they're like, we are gamers now. And Anita Sarkeesian wasn't there because she's not a gamer. But I don't know. I feel like Shepard as a male character is iconic.
Yeah.
Shepard is the male character of no,
And
he's just the character of Mass Effect. And it's
yeah, you know, by making
if the gameplay is the same, then I feel like
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter what they put in the promotional material because like how confused do you think people would be if just like the person they played as wasn't even in the trailer they watched for the game?
Yeah. And you know, again, the argument that you know it is sexist because the female character and bit. Yeah, that is an argument, but it's not very good one because again, why would lazy game developers go through even more work to make two trailers?
Yeah.
Lazy
Also,
game developers.
you know it costs money to make
make a trailer.
trailers, right?
And you can't make two trailers.
And you can't release both. You gotta advertise one. Do you expect them to like cut it halfway? Like, all right, and now the female version. I feel like that would just be more sexist because it's like it's
Pointing it out.
It's just like, all right, there's also a female version. So here, look at this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In mainstream advertising of the franchise, the male commander is used almost exclusively. His image
Notice
is front
he's
and
also
center
the
on the box
default male
covers for all
commander.
releases, including the special editions. He's the one featured in the TV commercials, teasers, trailers, web banners, street posters, and print ads, and his face appears on most of the magazine covers. All of this positions the male commander Shepard as the default protagonist of the series.
He is. He's literally the default.
Very specific man.
Yeah.
If you click X through all of his character setup, you will get Shepard.
That is how BioWare is selling the Mass Effect experience.
He is
Nearly everything about the
literally
advertising
default.
campaign explicitly tells players that Commander Shepard is a man, and by extension associates the official storyline with the male version of the hero. This marketing strategy contributes to the fact that only 18 to 20% of players choose.
Who got this statistic?
Yeah. Also,
I play as girls.
I'll
do
put
that out there.
Well.
I almost exclusively play as women.
Yeah, when I have the chance, I will.
Like, I actually beat Saints Row the second or the third. No, it was the second. Nope, it was the third. As a female character, and I had fun. And that's a very good game. That's a very good game for female characters because you can't tell the difference if you make your female character look exactly like a man. Because apparently that's what she wants the right to do. I'm really confused about her priorities here.
18 to 20%
I am also
of players
confused.
choose the female option, despite the fact that Jennifer Hale's voice acting is widely praised as being far superior.
You brought me here to confirm what you already know. The Reapers are here.
Still, the female version has a dedicated fan base.
That was a bad example.
Her as Femshep.
Yeah.
And although this is meant as an affectionate nickname, it does further highlight her designation as a Ms.Male character.
Oh no.
She is the one with the qualifier attached to her name. She is female Shepard, whereas the male version simply gets to be Shepard.
That's
During the advertising of Mass Effect 3,
I
BioWare
don't
made a
think I
little
can do
more
this
effort to
anymore.
include female Shepherd with
It's
items
like
like an
talking to a
alternative
brick
reversible
wall,
slipcover for the
or
game
playing
box,
video game,
which features the
or
male
playing
version by
video.
default, as well as a special web-only
Yeah.
trailer. But these gestures feel
Did she
like an
just turn
afterthought or
around
niche
the
specialty
covers?
marketing,
So
and
Yeah.
hardly what I would call a
oh
substantial
my
or
god,
equitable
Shepard is the
inclusion.
default.
While Mass Effect's advertising
Literally.
strategy might not undermine the story or gameplay, it is a glaring example of how the Ms.Male character trope can be perpetuated by marketing departments
It's only
unless
glaring
careful
to you,
consideration
Anita.
is given to how gender is represented when advertising games that do offer players a choice.
I really would
Now, it's certainly
be
true that in many
interested
cases
and
the games starring the
terrified to
female
see
variant are better
Anita's
gaming
perfect
experiences
world.
overall. And taken on
Yep.
their own, each individual example we've covered in this episode might seem relatively benign or trivial. But the
They
reason
are.
the series focuses on tropes is because they help us recognize larger recurring patterns. Both the Ms.Male character and the Smurfette principle have been normalized in gaming and in mass media more broadly. So much so that the
Because
two
game
tropes usually
developers
pass
are
under
lazy.
the radar and are
Not
often
because they're
reproduced
sexist,
unconsciously,
not because they
which is part of
secretly
what
think
makes the
women are
myths they
less
perpetuate about women so
effective
powerful and
at
insidious in
things,
our culture.
purely
The
because
truth of the
they
matter is that there's
fucking
really no need to
hate
define women
making
as derivative.
characters. All people. I don't. I'm a programmer myself. I don't really draw my sprites, but I hate making characters, and I have to do it.
I would also like to point out, in sort of as a, a Smurfette type thing that she was also talking about. I don't know, Ethan, if you've ever played the Gears of War series.
I have not.
Basically, the Gears of War series, they're the real like the way basically what you're fighting is like this subterranean menace or whatever. So basically, the female versions of them are giant hulking monsters.
Whoa.
And I know this sounds like a really, really bad example so far, but in the second game, it was revealed that the leader of them, that their overall leader of their hierarchy, is in fact a woman, a human woman, and she in fact leads them.
Yeah,
And then-
and like the Swarm Queen
Yeah, and also
from
in
StarCraft.
yes, and also in the third game, they introduced playable female characters, not as like sort of a multiplayer only, but actually in the main story. In the main story, half of your team at all. Also, you fought the queen from the second game. In the third game, you fought her.
Is this all? Is half of everyone has to be a female? Is what Anita is saying she wants, but that would be sexist. Like, we
Yes.
have to literally cut the roster in half so that we can include women instead of, like, I don't know, inter include women. It's late.
Yeah.
There's really no need to define women as derivative copies of men or to automatically resort to lazy, stereotypical, or limiting gendered signifiers when designing video game characters.
Yeah, there is.
It was at that
Have you?
moment.
Oh my God, she's using Thomas's alone.
She had superpowers.
Claire is a simple blue cube,
Oh,
and one
Jesus
of the more memorable
fucking
characters from the indie game Thomas Was Alone. We
Oh
know
my
she's
God.
female because of her name,
Oh
her
my
narrative,
God.
and the pronouns used during gameplay. Claire's gender presentation doesn't reduce her to her gender or separate her from the rest of the cast.
Claire needed to come up with a superhero name as soon as possible.
I love Thomas. Just pause it
Half
for
of
a
the
sec.
playable characters in Towerfall are
I love Thomas's alone. I honestly adore that game. It is an amazing narrative. Claire, but it is made to be oversimplistic, and the entire point of it is to characterize by their like characters instead of anything else. They're characterized by their shape. Quite literally, they are characterized by what shape they are. So, I feel like the fact that there is a female... Again, this is bringing up Anita's, like, double standards. What she really wants is for all female characters to be portrayed exactly like male characters. But we can't do that because we'll have no way of showing that they're a female character except their name and the narrative. But the retro games she shows are retro games. They did not have names nor narratives.
And they were also technologically limited. They couldn't, make these large, expansive stories. And again, this all comes down to game developers being lazy, especially in retro games. Game developers were so lazy when it came to retro games. They're lazy now, but back then they would literally just come up with a sprite and they would just smack it in.
I'd
And
like to point out the fact that in a way, Claire actually is a female version of all the other characters, in the fact that she is a four-sided polygon. So I guess she must be just the female
Characters with
counterpart.
Tower Faller women, and the game is also notable for its color code inversion. The Last of the Order wears blue, while the Assassin Prince is decked out in pink. Indie games like Knit Underground, Scary Girl, It'll Do, and the iOS title Lily all have female characters who resist gendered stereotypes. Each of these indie games avoids falling back on the Ms.Male character trope or relying on narrow, superficial visual markers as a stand-in for personality. The visual aesthetics of these female characters displays a range of gender expression and presentation using a variety of hairstyles, color choices, and accessories. Developers can also choose to give players the opportunity to get to know the personalities, interests, and struggles of their characters. Even with minimal narrative or limited graphics, it is entirely possible to make games that feature dynamic women who exist on their own terms.
You try it. You try and make a Pac-Man style game where you identify a female character entirely by just visual cues and audio cues. Not visual cues. You can't do visual cues. You're not allowed.
Yeah.
Just, like, you try it. You say you can do this, but you really can't.
And again, almost all of the examples you used were from retro games, and that's the biggest hole in her entire thing, is that they're retro games. People were lazy in the retro games.
Not only were they lazy, they were limited.
Yeah, they were limited and they were lazy. Like, most of the times, female characters were an afterthought. They designed the main character, they designed, like, everything, and then they were like, you know what, let's throw in a female character just for variety.
Mm-hmm.
And
they tried to implement female characters because people like you were like, we're not being included enough.
Also, most of the time, these games were built in maybe like a 6 month to a year time frame to get.
Do you know how hard it was to program back then?
It was a pain in the ass to program.
I'm gonna give you a programming backstory.
B.
It's gonna be terribly boring. Alright, so back then, they had a programming language called, I'd say that's about, I don't know, they probably built those on, no, they didn't even use programming languages back then, I'm sure. They probably just built circuit boards to play the game. If they did use programming languages back then the languages would be like BASIC, which is its name. You know what it means by its name. It is basic.
Yeah.
Which, as it is simplistic, it's also really freaking like long-winded. To do one command, it takes many more lines because it's less human readable than any other language, other than, I don't know, system languages.
Also, again, these games were made in such a short time frame that they were pushed out because a lot of these games were rushed. Because a lot of the examples that she's been using are from Nintendo. And Nintendo, they were fairly, like, a lot of games in that time were rushed. And I mean just rushed. Like, the concept was come up with, probably a week later they started, like, they started, and then like a week after the entire concept has been come up with, they're already starting the program, and then it takes them a long time to program. And again, most of these games were made in a 6-month period.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I feel like you're being a little bit critical of games that were made probably before you were born.
And
I yeah,
I think
I need
I,
to finish up because this is horrible.
yeah, I know. I think this is all we're gonna do.
Her listening to Anita Sarkeesian is like smashing my head against a wall and hoping the wall breaks first. Which it
All
will.
right.
It will break first. I'm Ethan,
And I'm Xavier.
and this is Alyssa Einstein, and we're leaving.
Yep.